What is difference between Genghis Khan and Adolf Hitler? Why is one the pride of Mongolia while others shame of Germany? In eyes of many people, Adolf Hitler is personification of evil, being responsible for deaths of millions of people, including genocide of Jews. However, in Mongolia, Genghis Khan, the man responsible for deaths of millions, including genocide of multiple groups all over Asia, is viewed as a national hero rivaled only by the gods. Both Genghis and Hitler have committed atrocities on a level that we hopefully never have to witness again. Yet one is seen as hero while other a villain. I could go deep into historical analysis of what exactly both of these men did, trying to analyze which is better or worse. But that's not for this video. This video is for asking a broader question about how we as people decide if something is good or bad. So, how do we? Well, first comes the visceral emotion that is evoked when we visualize possibility of ourselves being acted upon or acting upon in a specific event. From this visceral emotion we then derive the thing that is good or bad, and all of that is modified by some innate biological values that most people share. Which means that individuals' perception on what is good and what is bad depends on three factors: perceived likelihood that the individual is going to be affected, axiomatic beliefs, and perceived ideological and moral closeness of the action relative to groups that individual belongs to. The likelihood of being affected has three axes: time, space, and similarity. Actions of past are viewed as a spectrum, where the further in past they are, the less modern morality is applied to those actions. But I don't think that should be the case. The argument in favor would be that in general, the further back we go, the further away from modern values we get. So same act deviates more from norm 10 years ago as opposed to 1000 years ago. But does that mean that since women are less likely than men to commit murder, it should be considered worse when women does it? It seems like people want to have a view where there are good people and bad people, which means that there must be some way to justify people of past as not being bad, because otherwise we have to accept that we are bad. But to that I would say, accept that we are neither good or bad. We are flawed beings trying our best. Space is physical distance between observer and action. The further the distance, the less likely bad is to be attributed. So life on a planet that can never be reached is worth nothing, while life standing next to us should be valued. There is also distinction between individual and system. People will value things in a gradient, while system is going to be binary, meaning that system should value all humans as equal within systems that affect the person. Similarity is one that is most often used to justify bad things, and is capable of nullifying all other aspects of decision making. No one gives value to trees since they are no way similar to us. Some people will give value to animals since they are to some degree relatable, while most people will give value to humans. But the value that we give can at any moment be revoked if we present that group to be in some way dissimilar and acting against the similar. Meaning that when something bad happens to something that has been revoked of similarity, we no longer feel like we can be affected since we are clearly different. Axiomatic beliefs are certain values around which morality is built and can be put on two levels. First is biological level that represents some innate goodness that expresses itself in humans without even thinking about it. And second is people trying to rationalize these biological axioms into laws that can be expressed with words and sentences. Most people live somewhere in the middle, where they have some expressible idea for what the rules by which they live are, but those rules are constantly broken in favor of emotional states. If we want to be consistent, we have two options: choose axiomatic beliefs and never change them, or choose to derive everything from those emotional states. You could say that perceived ideological and moral closeness of action relative to groups that individual belongs to is a subset of both chance of being affected and axiomatic beliefs. But I think it is different enough to be its own thing, especially since this is the one that plays the biggest role in modern society, and the biggest role in why Hitler is disliked way more than Genghis. Generally, consensus in Western world is that Hitler is the most evil person ever, and anyone showing sympathy to him is a Nazi. Which means that unless a person is part of some form of anti-Semite group, the simple act of questioning Hitler as most evil person ever is going to put that person in an unstable position within that group. with possibility that others view them as a Nazi. So it's position where person is risking their own position within group for logical consistency in regards to Hitler and Nazis, which makes it a very easy decision for most people. Same thing applies to other things people don't want to be associated with, such as dogfucking, pedophilia, incest, and on a lower level, pineapple pizza. In conclusion, I will say that the actions of both Genghis and Hitler should be evaluated with the same lens, regardless how close to modern world they are. However, I will acknowledge that most people who like Hitler don't like him for his oration skills, they do for the anti-Semitism. While those who like Genghis most likely impose idea of great adventure in him, and like him for that and not because of murders and rape. So while I do understand what the perception is that it is, I would encourage that we don't get lost trying to assign value to people, instead appreciate the good and understand the bad.